touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, like you want it.
Well, good evening, everyone. Tonight it is the SIGMA ARCA Series racing tonight here at Langley Speedway. And it should be a fun one as we will have two heats, an LCQ, and the main event here tonight. This will be heat number 1 as we have 18 cars on the docket here in heat number 1. On the front row, you've got James Gunner and Chris K. Green. Behind that, you got Trevor Vaden and Jonah Burridge. Craig Bush and Zach Magoon. Ralph Oberstadt and Bailey Parker. Hank Scorpio and Alex Sanvital. B. Roy and Ham Bergerson. Sly Ojima and Finley Herwig. Jameson Thole and Evan Snake. With Mark Shelton and Jaden Anderson at the back of the field here for 50 laps in heat number 1.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
LFG Motorsports has been pretty dominant, to say the least, here. And with two of their cars in this heat, both of them in the top 6, you'll have to be in the top 12 by the end of these 50 laps to make it on to the main event. And if you don't make it into the top 12 here, don't worry, because 2 will be able to race out of the LCQ later tonight. James Gunner here off to the early lead with a good push there from Trevor Vaden. Good side-by-side action here as they duke it out for the lead. Chris K. Green ain't going anywhere yet. And looks like Gunner's going to be able to settle in here with a solid lead for now. 50 laps really doesn't give you much time to get sorted here. A lot of side-by-side action. You're just going to be hoping that you're on that inside line and inside the top 12 here. Craig Bush, Jonah Burridge, Ralph Oberstadt 3 wide. They're pretty well, almost 3 wide, but not quite. If you go 3 wide here, then that's definitely a recipe for disaster. A little bit of bumping and touching through the turns here as these guys get sorted. It's a home race for Commonwealth Racing Ventures there, the 78, owned by Atlee Weiss. Home track action for the team tonight. Atlee himself has turned numerous laps around this track and knows it like the back of his hand, I imagine. They seem to be putting that 78 in a good position for a transfer here. We look a little further back to the transfer bubble. Right now, the 64 of Mark Shelton and the 51 of Zach Magoon would be your last 2 transfers here. Jaden Anderson in the 8 wants to get in on the action. He is on the outside in, looking in right now, but has the position very much in sight here. Jaden Anderson fighting Magoon to make the transfer. 11 laps in, 39 laps to go here in heat number 1. And just like that, Magoon has shuffled out. Jaden Anderson to the point. Zach Magoon desperately trying to find any way that he can get back down into that bottom lane, because he's just going to continually lose spots here on the outside. Oh, and now we got Hamburgerson putting up a fight here in the 13. He's going to take the transfer spot away from Jaden Anderson. Now Anderson fighting for his life here. So far, so good. We haven't had any cautions yet. 16 laps down, and the lead really hasn't changed at all since James Gunner has walked away with a pretty steady lead here. Craig Bush now up to second, Trevor Vaden in third, Chris K. Green in fourth, Hank Scorpio fifth, Ralph Oberstadt sixth, seventh is B-Roy, and eighth is Jonah Burridge. It's looking like these guys are pretty much safe bet to move on into the main here tonight, as they're solidly in the top 10. This little spot here could be very volatile, as the 40 of Jamison Thole, the 01 of Sly Ojima, and the 13 there now of Hamburgerson hold the last transfer spots. Mark Shelton there in the 64 would definitely love to get past one of these guys in front of him. There goes Hamburgerson past Sly Ojima. Ojima seems to have a stout car on the outside line here, but might not be able to hold that position for long, as Mark Shelton has a little bit more momentum on his side, running that inside line the shortest way around the track. Finley Herwig there in the 80. And Herwig gets by Ojima, but still sitting 13th, not in a transfer position. Actually, I stand corrected. That is good for 12th. Must have lost track of my... Well, Ojima falls back, and now Finley Herwig is your final transfer, running in 12th. These two right here, the 8 and the 80 teammates. So you got to imagine it's going to be a little bit tougher to stomach. You know, one going on to the LCQ maybe. I'm sure the ideal situation here would be if the both of them could work together and catch another car that's a little bit further up there, like Hamburgerson. You definitely have plenty enough time, 20 laps remaining here, and could get caught up. Starting to look more and more like the 4 of Parker, the 24 of San Vital, the 51 of Magoon, and perhaps the 27 of Evan Snake are on a fast track to the LCQ here. Ooh, there's a little bit of bumping action there between the 4 and the 24. Still out up front, it's James Gunner with very much no worries in the world. Craig Bush, Trevor Vaden, Chris K. Green. Ooh, now Hank Scorpio in 5th. Ralph Oberstadt, Jonah Burridge, Jamison Thole, B. Roy, and Mark Shelton. Hamburgerson holding on dearly for that last transfer spot. Gonna have his work cut out for him as the 80 of Finley Herwig gets right by him here. Nine laps remaining now, and this bubble spot is going to get a little bit tighter here at the end, I believe. That 01 of Sly Ojima trying to close the gap. Hamburgerson, all he's got to do is hold on to that position for the next 8 laps, and he's got himself a berth in the main event here tonight. A little bit better than that, he might get by Finley Herwig here and give himself a little bit of a buffer. Side by side, this is only going to allow the 01 of Ojima to close up on the both of them. Look at that. Hamburgerson putting the fight to the 80 there. 01 very much within a stone's throw of that transfer spot. Ooh, and the 13 I think clipped the 80 there of Herwig. They're using every inch of the track, not giving any room here. 5 laps remaining. Hamburgerson now up to 11th. It's very fun watching these cars just slide through the corners here. Ooh, Ojima. That would be a tough pill to swallow for Al Bunch Incorporated if both the 80 and the 8 get knocked out here in the closing laps. Ojima really putting on a good torrent pace here. And who knew that this would be a very highly contested position. We've seen the position swap hands a few times just in the last 3 laps. As the 80 gets right alongside Bergerson. Bergerson now in trouble. As Sly Ojima running out of laps here. Gonna be the white flag this time for heat number 1. But he's right there. You can see it's gonna be tight. The 01 NOS of Ojima. It's going to be the difference between making it to the main or making it to the LCQ. And it's Bergerson, your last transfer. Going to the LCQ tonight is the 01 of Ojima. The 8 of Jaden Anderson. The 24 of Alex Sanvital. The 4 of Bailey Parker. The 51 of Zach Magoon, and the 27 of Evan Snake. And so with that, we will have heat number 2 here up shortly as we get a few things sorted on this end here. Your top 10, of course, locked into the main event includes that of James Gunner, Craig Bush, Trevor Vaden, Chris K-Green, Ralph Oberstadt, Hank Scorpio, Jonah Burridge, Jamison Thole, Mark Shelton, and B. Roy. '78 is in for Atlee's team, so going to be onto the main event for at least one half of the team here. You'll see the other teammate in heat number 2 as we've got 19 cars for 50 laps.
Favor, just touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
And so, starting on the front row, it's the duo of black cars between the 66 and the 77. Kaylee Sheets and Ace Blake. Behind that, you've got Wyatt Wilkinson and Skylar Taylor. Matthew Hubert and Chase Kovacic. Casey Klein and Matias Nunez. Craig Popkris and William Kinsella Jr., Chris Mozzie and Joe Hill, Jakov Rosovich and Alan Chavot, Adam Cruz and Gustavo, Eli the Wolf and Rand Kataz, with Donovan Heiss rounding out the full field here for heat number 2.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
And we're off and racing here as Kaylee Sheets gets off to the early lead. Ace Blake right there in second. Wyatt Wilkinson on the inside going to charge in there. We already saw 2 of the LFG cars make it to the main event. 2 more of them in this heat here with Wyatt Wilkinson and Matias Nunez. Hoping to transfer to the main event here tonight. We'll let things get settled down here before we go back to look at the bubble spot. Ooh, there's some bump in there as the 6 gives Ace Blake no room on the track. It's impressive that one of Casey Klein has been on the pole almost every race here in the ARCA's early season. But has had such terrible luck closing out the deals here. Kind of different not seeing him start at the front. Maybe it'll change his luck here tonight. So Kaylee Sheets leads over Wyatt Wilkinson and Matthew Hubert. We head all the way to the back. Man, it is tight. This looks like it could be a wreck waiting to happen with our back 6, 7 drivers that are fighting for that transfer spot. Alan Chavot right now has dropped all the way to the back, 3 wide right there in front of him. Man, how did they not wreck? Yonayan of Kinsella still stuck in a 3 wide ordeal here with Kataz and Cruz. Oh, and still, they are not getting out of this one alive. Oh, the 16 gets put in the wall. Something had to give. Oh, the 79 getting into the 14 of Hill there. We saw the calm one in the first heat, and the second heat is nothing of that sort. Matias Nunez looking a lot like he's going to have to go through the LCQ after getting put into the wall there. That 16 car definitely looking a little bit rougher for the wear. But the magic number, of course, will be 12th place, which currently belongs to Eli the Wolf there in the 33. I would wager that this is more of a slow and steady wins the race, as you don't want to be way up front early here. You kind of want to pick them off one by one as you go. There was a lot of movement in that first heat. We saw a lot of back and forth racing. And as you can see, even the one of Casey Klein struggling here as he's dropping backwards. Nearly back to 10th place here. He's going to be in trouble of being bumped out. Got a little bit aggressive there with the 88. Chris Mozzie. He's just had a rough start here, it seems, dropping backwards. Not able to find an opening to get that inside lane. It's impressive that one wreck we did have didn't warrant a full-blown caution here. So everyone stays running, and the 16 really hurting the worst for it. Got to give huge credit to the 25 there of Donovan Heist, who started very tail end of the field. And he's slowly and methodically worked his way up to 8th here. Good spot to get in through a transfer. Eli the Wolf and Rand Kataz, your 11th and 12th place driver. But slowly working their way too up to the front is Alan Chavot, turning some quick laps here. This lap and then that lap a little bit slower, but seems to me that he's finding a little bit of a rhythm here in that 79. The next target, that of Cruz, that'd be for 14th position. I'm glad Atlee did mention that too, that the victory lane here is named Le Mans Lemond, I guess. I'm not 100% the pronunciation, but Lemon's Victory Lane, after a gentleman that had unfortunately lost his life racing at the racetrack back in 2004. 3 days prior to that accident, he had signed an agreement to purchase the track from then owner Wayne Wyatt. Sadly passed away racing at the track. Le Mans' wife Sandy honored the agreement and followed through with purchasing of the track, which then later happened to rename Victory Lane to Dale Le Mans Victory Lane in honor of Dale Le Mans himself. He was a racer at the track and was working towards, at that point, becoming an owner of the track. So very, very neat little touch for this track, having, paying tribute to one of their own that raced it. And yeah, so tonight, Victory will put one of these drivers right there in Dale Le Mans Victory Lane. This battle's still a brewing here for that transfer spot, as we've got 19 laps left in this heat. These three here, I think, are going to be stout, even if they don't work their way into a transfer spot, that they're going to be strong running the LCQ if they have to. They're getting by the 9 is going to be huge for Chauveau here. Still working hard. Cruz in the 11 loses the spot to Jakov Rosovic at the moment. Rosovic, your last transfer. Cruz losing a little bit of momentum on the high side in that number 11. This time by, it'll be 12 laps to go here in heat number 2. Let's skim up to the front and see how it's looking up there. Kaylee Sheets really off on a Sunday cruise here this Wednesday evening. Wyatt Wilkinson keeping it interesting, though. He might be looking to try and take a heat win here. Then you've got Matthew Hubert, Craig Popkris, Ace Blake in 5th. Skylar Taylor, she's running 6th. Chase Kovacic, Donovan Heist, Chris Mozzie, Casey Klein, Eli the Wolf, and Jakov Rosovic. Looking to be a little bit harder for these guys, as Rosovic starting to stretch it out here. Joe Hill in that 14, making a pass here on Chauveau. Nine laps remaining. It's going to be do or die here, as they're going to have to start hammering down some very quick laps if they want to catch up to that 43. But of course, it's not game over. Obviously, the LCQ, 2 drivers are going to be able to make it out of that one. A slight scheduling mess up on my half, the way I have the track set up. I can't get 25 laps, so it's going to be a 30-lap LCQ. Or else I'd have to edit the entire track file to adjust that lap count. Here we go. Hill making some ground here. Things starting to tighten up a little bit for that battle. Cruz, though, 13th. He's on the outside looking in. Well, he ran it in there. He ran it in there low and fast. He's trying some different things. Cruz really trying to make up a lot of momentum here. Cutting that track a little bit shorter, a little bit shorter each time. And of course, if we get a caution, I would enable a green-white checkers here, but I don't think it's going to be necessary as we're down to 2 laps now. No caution, not looking to be a factor here. As now we're on lap 49 of 50. White flag waving in the air here. One final time around here in heat number 2. And it looks like Rosevich might be your last transfer. Adam Cruz putting in a valiant effort, but I don't think he's going to have enough to get by the 43. 11 of Cruz. The 14 of Joe Hill. The 17 of Alan Chavot, the 22 of Gustavo, the 9 of Rand Kataz, the 09 of William Kinsella Jr., and the 16 of Matias Nunez, who will get a chance to make some repairs to that car before rejoining everyone in the LCQ. But that is the conclusion of heat number 2 here. Moving on to the main event tonight, the 66 of Kaylee Sheets, the 19 of Wyatt Wilkinson, the 6 of Matthew Hubert, the 50 of Craig Popgris, the 77 of Ace Blake, the 62 of Chase Kovacic, the 29 of Skylar Taylor, the 25 of Donovan Heist, the 88 of Chris Mozzie, the 1 of Casey Klein, 33 of Eli the Wolf, and the 43 of Jakov Rosevich. So, brief pause here as I set up the roster for the LCQ. It'll be probably about a 3-minute intermission here before we get into the next race. Okay, so I've got that all sorted. The LCQ is about to start here. 30 laps for the LCQ, and it's going to be a frantic one.
Favor, just touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
Okay, so starting on the front row here tonight in the LCQ, we've got Jaden Anderson and Rand Kataz. Second row, you've got Alan Chavot and Evan Snake, Joe Hill and Bailey Parker, Alex Sanvital and Matias Nunez, Zach Magoon and William Kinsella Jr., Gustavo and Ojima, with Cruz at the very, very back. Make your picks, your predictions, who you think's going to make the main event here tonight. Only 2 of them can transfer, and with 30 laps, it's going to be a tough one for sure. I think if you're inside the top 5 right now, you're pretty much at a good spot. If you're anywhere deeper than that, chances are you're going to have to hope for some luck to go your way. Here we go. And they're off and racing. Alan Chavot not wasting his time here. He's going to push the 8 out of his way. Didn't really work there, but it definitely made for a little bit of excitement. I'm sure Anderson a little bit panicked there, as he didn't know if he was going to go around or steer the courses straight. So your 2 transfer spots now belong to Anderson and Chavot. And man, that could have been nasty if Chavot dumped the guy that's out front in the field here. I think Chavot even at that point realized, like, hey, I don't need to get by this guy. I just need to make sure I get by the other guys and stay in second here. Joe Hill's been stout in that number 14. One thing for certain that we've seen here tonight, once you get out front and get a little bit of clean air, it's really easy to just drive away from the rest of the field. And I bet that's exactly what Chavot feels right now, having that clean, you know, not having to race anyone right now, just kind of his own freedom here to pick and choose a line and stick with it. Even more so for Jaden Anderson, as he didn't have anyone out there in front of him to slow up his pace. That's looking good in the background for these 2 as they start to fight for third. That's only going to allow them to drive further away here. Man, what a heartbreak for Matias Nunez, who was in a transfer spot prior to getting wrecked. It seems like they weren't able to get enough repairs done to that car in time to get it running smoother, cleaner laps. He's tail end of the field right now, just trying to hope for a miracle at this point. Sly Ojima had some glimpses of brilliance in his heat. Almost could have got by to transfer in. would have knocked another driver into this LCQ. But alas, he is here racing and sitting in 10th position when only the top 2 are the most important during the LCQ here. Rankataz there has the fastest lap in the race so far. Goes to show how he's racing alongside Joe Hill, trying to make a pass here, putting that speed to use. But not always the fastest car that gets the job done, as we've seen many times before. Joe Hill now breathing down Alan Chavot's neck as he's caught up to the back bumper of that 79. Alan Chavot is going to have to keep a steady wheel here and not make any mistakes, because that 14 wants to pounce. In this LCQ, it's been Jaden Anderson and Alan Chavot, the stout competition here in the LCQ. Joe Hill definitely trying to prove he deserves to be in the main event here tonight. He overdrove it there a little bit and loses a little bit of ground to the 9 behind him. Kataz right there, waiting to make his move. And so now down to 10 laps to go now. It was quite impressive that Alan Chavot almost dumped Jaden Anderson out of the lead before the race even got started. And right now they're racing very clean, very competitive laps at the front of the field. That 9 of Rand Kataz, definitely the faster car in the LCQ, but not able to make up any ground here, as we've only got 8 laps remaining. Kataz might have a shot here if he can get by Joe Hill. As long as he can close the door on that 14, he's still got 7 laps here to get to work on that transfer spot. And there we go, Kataz, man, still fighting with the 14. The 14 not going away like a pesky bug. And there we go, Kataz finally gets by the 14, but the laps have really hit harder here as he's down only 4 laps now. Three laps this time. We'll see if Kataz can put that speed to use, or if he's simply going to have to pack it up and go home here tonight. It's a good thing it's 30 laps instead of 25, because I do feel like a race could still break out here for that 9 car. It's getting increasingly harder for him as we're now down to the final 2 laps here. And you never know, these 2 that transfer out of the LCQ could be a contender in the main event tonight. 200 laps with a full field of 26, there's a lot that could happen. We could have a bunch of wrecks, a lot of craziness. Checkered flag here on the LCQ, and it is Jaden Anderson and Alan Chavot making the cut. So hold tight as we get set up for the main event here. 26 cars all roaring around Langley Speedway. And this is just kind of a taste of what we have yet on the schedule this year, as we've got quite a few short tracks that we're going to hit. We'll definitely be doing it the same way with heat races, LCQ, kind of simulate your local short track grassroots racing. And so far, it's pretty much living up to the hype, giving us some great racing action and excitement here, especially at a new track that we have never contested in the Sigma-verse. Jaden and Alan move on to the main event.
Favor, just touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
Alrighty, now time for the main event. 200 laps here around Langley. And on the front row, we've got Wyatt Wilkinson along Finley Herwig here. This will be for all the marbles. You got B. Roy and Casey Klein, Mark Shelton and Trevor Vaden, Matthew Hubert and Jonah Burridge. Heat 1 winner, James Gunner, a little bit deeper in the field than he'd like, alongside Hamburgerson. Ace Blake and Chris K-Green. Chase Kovacic and Skylar Taylor. Ralph Oberstadt and the 15 of Craig Bush. Then you've got Hank Scorpio and Donovan Heist. Jameson Thole and Alan Chavot. Eli the Wolf and Chris Mozzie. Jakov Rosovich and Heat 2 winner, Kaylee Sheets, starting very deep here. Then Jaden Anderson, your LCQ winner, alongside Craig Popkris at the very back of the field here. Kind of a mixed bag, as you might say, with a lot of different positions for the guys that actually had to reset the field. You got to qualify for the main event too, so your position in the heat didn't really equate to your starting position in the main here. 200 laps. This is about to get interesting here as the green flag waves. Wyatt Wilkinson driving him off to the early lead here. Wilkinson already with the win in his early career with ARCA, spotlighting a brand new paint scheme, that Case International Harvester number 19 for LFG Motorsports. And just like that, off and rolling, leading laps here tonight at Langley Speedway. You know, honestly, it feels like Wyatt Wilkinson's one of those guys that's going to be taking this whole field by storm. He might be another hot star in the Sigma-verse before you know it. It's very promising, very exciting to see all these new faces putting on some good races. B. Roy in that 48, this looks like one of the better runs he's had in a while, as he's going to slot his way up to second. Mark Shelton just struggled to make the main event here tonight, looking much better as he rolls off here, in about to take third away from Herwig. So let's skim through the back of the field and see how our heat winners are doing. Kaylee Sheets, unfortunately, towards the back half here, it looks like she's got her work cut out for her, as she's going to have to pass just about every car in the field to make it back up to the front. I'm expecting with 26 cars, this will be the largest field we've had here tonight. There's going to be some wrecks. There's going to be some craziness, especially once you mix in 200 laps with this size of a field. Chances are it's going to get chaotic. Our other heat winner, that of James Gunner, looks like he's running about mid-pack right now, a little bit further back than mid-pack. He's running in 18th, so that's a lot deeper than I'm sure he'd like to be right now. Jonah Burridge in the 78, stuck on that high side. He's going to have to find an opening down low here soon so he can start working his way up to the front. Ace Blake trying to get up into the top 5 here. Working on getting past Finley Herwig here. Still out front leading is Wyatt Wilkinson. He is led the first 16 laps here without any trouble. And that too is going to become a factor tonight, is racing your way through lap traffic. Once you get that far out front, it's only a matter of time before you start fighting with drivers that are going laps down. Impressive there from B. Roy, sitting in second. Defending the position on third with Mark Shelton. And a little bit further back, the 6th of Matthew Hubert. We're going to have to see. It looks like Wilkinson really does have a very stout car here tonight. B-Roy has the fastest lap so far, though, so even though Wyatt Wilkinson's got the lead, Roy in second has the faster car. The occasional lag spike hits us here and there, but everything keeps rolling here. Wow, James Gunner. We've seen now both of our heat winners get shuffled all the way to the back here. Looks like Jonah Burge has finally found an opening to get down low. And that right there is the ticket. You need to get down low so you can start making some passes and working your way back up to the front of the field. We saw Alan Chavot fall the way to the back, and now he's worked his way up to 17th. So he's picked off about 9 spots here and still working on a couple more spots there in front of him. 200 laps should be pretty close to the full run window for these guys. I don't think we're going to see any pit stops. Could be mistaken. Maybe we'll do a quick check on the garage here. Wow, so they say about 174 laps. So there should be at least one pit stop in this race if that's to be trusted. And I think it's pretty accurate because 174 laps seems like about even like a standard Bristol run. You're about 150 laps at Bristol where you have to go pit. But I imagine we'll probably have a caution early on. Heck, even if we had a caution right now, everyone would pit. But then you're getting to that tough spot where drivers will be pushing it very, very, very late with very old tires. And there's no telling how ugly these cars will get on a long run with old tires. Man, Wyatt Wilkinson really just stretching a gap here at the front of the field. And if we look at the point standings right now, Wyatt Wilkinson, with only 2 races since he didn't start the start of the season, he's already up to second in the points behind his teammate Trevor Vaden. He's only 20 points off of that. So based on their running order right now, Trevor Vaden farther back in the field than he would like, sitting in 14th. Wyatt Wilkinson would be looking to be your new points leader in only 3 races that he's contested of this 4-race season. Kaylee Sheets working her way back up to the front, showing us why she's got a heat-winning car under her seat. Wow, James Gunner, man, there's a lot of stout competition throughout the field here. What's really going to hurt is Matias Nunez not qualifying for the main event tonight. He's going to miss out and actually lose a full race. He sits 9th in the points. He can kiss top 10 goodbye because Chase Kovacic, Jakov Rosevich, Casey Klein, and the like, they're all going to pass him for position in the point standings. Ace Blake now up into the top 5 here, slowly and methodically working his way up to the front. That 77 almost won in his series debut when they last raced earlier at Pikes Peak. Had a top 3 finish there in his inaugural start and at his home track to boot. So it's been a great start for Ace Blake there, as well as it has been for Wyatt Wilkinson. It's going to be tough to keep Wyatt Wilkinson down here in this ARCA level. If he's going to keep running like this, he's going to graduate out of ARCA before you know it. Something of like a Jesse Love with our real life ARCA series, working his way and kind of fast tracking all the way past trucks into Xfinity. It's a possibility here with Wilkinson. It's looking like he's got something to prove for the rest of the field. Some people might argue that it's, oh well, it's ARCA. They're, you know, it's the new guys that haven't really proven themselves yet, but there's a lot that can be said about proving yourself even against a lot of newcomers. Wyatt Wilkinson, what he's doing is not just some mild feat. It's pretty big deal once you put together consecutive wins and start rolling, rolling like this. But now he's going to have a tough part of the race here coming up at him, and that'll be lap traffic. We'll see how well he handles maneuvering through traffic. He's put up pretty sustainable lead so far, so he doesn't have to worry about B. Roy catching up to him, as we're 1/4 of the way through the race here already. Wow. Now Ace Blake moves his way up to third here. And with B-Roy right there in front of him, he's going to have a chance to get by B-Roy for second. This 77 car very much coming alive on the late run here. He's going to try go high, but I don't think he's going to make a pass on the 48 around the outside. Wyatt Wilkinson still hasn't caught up to the lap traffic here yet. The longer it takes, probably the better, so he doesn't have to get slowed down. He's kind of still enjoying this wide open track in front of him for now. But once that lap traffic becomes a factor, his lead might start to shrink. Currently, he has a 3.5 second lead over B-Roy and a 4-second lead over Ace Blake. We'll keep an eye on that delta to see if it starts changing once he catches up to the tail end of the lead lap field here. Man, yeah, Wilkinson is just lighting it up. He's had the fastest lap, has led every lap so far, and just on a mission here tonight. Wow, Trevor Vaden running 16th. That's very unlike him to have a bad night. That 18 teammate to this 19 that's leading. And your points leader. He's going to lose the points lead here tonight if he's not careful. $70 laps down, 130 to go. B-Roy still holds second. Ace Blake in third. Now up to fourth, you've got Ralph Oberstadt and Casey Klein up into the top 5 as well. It's looking like Klein has a better long run car, the number 1. And working alongside Oberstadt to take fourth away. We've seen quite a few drivers that had been sitting in the top 5 for the majority of this first half of the race starting to drop backwards now as their tires wear down. Alrighty, so Wilkinson has finally caught the back end of the field here, and we'll have to start seeing just what kind of lap times he's turning. Still turning 15.5, which pretty fast laps around this point of the race, especially with the tire fall off. That lap, another 15.5. B-Roy turning 15.4, so he's going to start closing the gap a little bit here, as he can see Wyatt Wilkinson out there in front of him just barely. Once he exits and enters the back straight, he can see just at the end of the front straight and at the end of the back straight, the leader out farther in front of him. Wilkinson, man, a 15.7, so this is where things are going to start to get a little bit harder for Wilkinson. Proven that he can dominantly lead the race. Now he's going to have to prove that he can dominantly maneuver through traffic. Gets by the 88 of Chris Mozzie there. Our lead kind of stabilized right now, not really growing, not really shrinking, as Wilkinson holds a 3.74 second lead over B-Roy. Roughly on average about 4-second lead over second and third place here. 19, not putting a wheel wrong yet, as he is just putting on a clinic so far tonight. A lot of our short track races kind of play out like this, where it just kind of turns into a dominant performance from one driver or another. Sometimes it's a wreck fest, and then sometimes it's just a follow the leader affair like this one is. Now, lead shrinking a little bit harder here, as it's only a 3.45 second lead for Wyatt Wilkinson. At 78, looking to mix things up. He knows that his teammates behind Wilkinson, Burridge putting on his best performance to try and help his teammate get the win here tonight. He passes Wilkinson back, and that's only going to make things harder for Wilkinson, as second and third place are going to start to really close the gap now. Wilkinson has found himself in a hard spot, as lap traffic's using him up here. Even the 88 of Mozzie. I'm amazed we're seeing our lap traffic race harder than even the leaders racing right now. B-Roy starting to smell blood in the water here as it's down to a 2.8 second deficit. This is the excitement of short track racing. The tires start to wear off. We see something like this unfolding. Drivers that are really good at saving their tires really start to shine here later in the running. B-Roy has not had a very great start of his season yet, and this could be a huge turnaround for the likes of B-Roy, who sits 28th in the points. His first 3 starts had a finish of 16th, 34th, and 18th. So B-Roy needs a little bit of luck to go his way, and it seems like it's gonna be a good night here for that 48 team. The lead starts to stabilize again here as Wilkinson gets back by the 78. And Wilkinson, with getting back by the 78, starts to put more separation on second and third place. Even though B-Roy catching up to the lap traffic to start duking it out with the lappers as well. Oh, Wilkinson washes out high there. He's having a hard time getting by the 8 of Jaden Anderson. Jonah Burridge yet again going to be a thorn in his side as Jonah puts it in deep here. Giving the leader more than what he's bargained for, working his way through lap traffic. Jonah Burridge, this could be a teammate move of the race as that 78 continues to fight back with the leader here. Oh, and there was even a little bit of contact as the 69 Scorpio gets off track there. I think maybe with mechanical failure. 69 damaged wheel. Makes it down pit road, but ultimately mixes all of this up with our leader as he started to lose a lot of distance now. Okay, pit stop starting here on lap 106. So I think we're going to start seeing just about everyone come down pit road, get their 4 fresh tires, gasoline, and the final push to the finish here. First time we've seen pit stops under competition here at Langley. Hopefully everyone makes it out all right. Wyatt Wilkinson has led every lap up to this point and has relinquished lead now to Ace Blake, who's credited with a lead lap here. Wilkinson's going to rejoin the track pretty quickly. He's going to beat out B-Roy, of course, his #1 contender. Ace Blake still leading. I think he's going to come down pit road here probably this time. As we're down to just 90 laps to go here. Casey Klein still staying out. I wonder if he's going to run out of gas staying out this long. His lap time, oh, he just came off pit road. Did he? Whoa, 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 the 19 getting roughed up here. So Klein must have pitted and somehow works his way out in front of Wyatt Wilkinson. Pits from second place, takes 2 right side, 2 left side. Man, he just had a stellar pit stop there as he rejoins the track in third place. Ace Blake, I wonder if he made his pit stop too, or if he's still... Yeah, he made his pit stop. So the drivers that did the overcut, they've actually been able to make up time and gain positions on track. Somehow, the 62 of Chase Kovacic is your leader. Kovacic came down pit road earlier, back when the leaders came in, and he just had one hell of a pit stop. It really does come down to that once in a while. Getting a quick pit stop under your belt and getting back on track to beat the others for track position. So Chase Kovacic, kind of your surprise leader here in the second half. Pit stops really did shake things up. Ace Blake right there in the picture though. You can see he's hungry for a win. And I wouldn't count out Wyatt Wilkinson. We know he's got a stout car, but getting stuck back in traffic now seems to have kind of changed the whole momentum of the race for him, as now he's got to fight with other cars for position. He's going to have to get by the 21 of Oberstadt, the 1 of Casey Klein, the 77 of Ace Blake, and the 62 of Chase Kovacic. This right here is what I love the most about ARCA. Very unpredictable. You cannot predict how things are going to pan out. And just like that, green flag pit stop, it's getting exciting here. And we still have pretty much 80 laps to go. Here we go, Ace Blake making a tear, charging after the 62. Here he comes, closing that gap even more, but now don't look behind you if you're Ace Blake. You can see the 1 of Casey Klein very much in your rear view mirror. That 1 running stout, running strong. We know he's capable of getting to the front. It's just been a lot of rough luck, bad luck couple races for Casey Klein. Oh, and there's a smoker. We got someone. Oh, it's the 66 of Kaylee Sheets with a mechanical failure, and that takes the lead away from Kovacic as Ace Blake steals it from him. 56% damage to the engine for Kaylee Sheets. So Sheets suffering a race ender there for sure. But Ace Blake to the lead in dramatic fashion there as Kovacic gets shuffled out. All of our top 5 right there. You could throw a blanket over them. Wyatt Wilkinson back in the mix. Kovacic having to defend second here on Ralph Oberstadt. 70 laps remaining now, and this is definitely what Ace Blake ordered up, having the lap traffic slow these guys down and keep them behind him. Ace Blake starting to grow a gap, similar in size to what Wyatt Wilkinson had earlier in the race. And still turning some very competitively fast laps here. Craig Bush with the fastest lap since the round of green flag pit stops. That 15 turned a 15.042. This would definitely be a proud owner moment for Commonwealth Racing Ventures and that of team owner Atlee Weiss to show up to the home track with a vengeance here tonight. And that's the kind of storylines I love seeing, when you've got something like this that just falls into place. Parts and pieces just come together and you're seeing one-of-a-kind story unfold right before your eyes. Ace Blake, just like Wyatt Wilkinson, came into the series a little bit later than most. And last week, or well, 2 weeks ago, last race, we saw Wyatt Wilkinson get his first career win in his second start. Could we perhaps see something similar in nature here? Except it would be, actually it would be in his second career start as well. If I look back at the point standings, the 77 of Ace Blake, one race. However, that one race was top 5 because he had a top 5 finish at his home track last race that they ran at Pikes Peak. Starting to see somewhat of a trend here if it continues to go that way. I think people want to be signing up for this ARCA Series if they're not already in it, because seems like the trend points towards your second career start, potentially a win. But of course you can't count all your chickens before the eggs hatch, and we know all too well how things can go to hell in a handbasket for these guys towards the end of these races. Ace Blake holding that lead right now, pretty sizable lead over Ralph Oberstadt and Casey Klein. Wyatt Wilkinson now up to 4th, getting by Chase Kovacic. It was a pleasant surprise, surprise while it lasted, seeing Kovacic out front leading laps, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like it was meant to be. '18 of Trevor Vaden starting to work his way back up through the field, now up into the top 10. That's going to go a long ways in trying to fight to keep that points lead, as his teammate Wilkinson, running in 4th right now, could still take that lead away with the points earned tonight, especially with lead lap bonus points and led most likely in his court. Still 20 cars on the lead lap is pretty impressive for a short track like this. Just goes to show you how stout this field is, that you can go 140 laps into a short track race and still not lap majority of the field. That 8 of Jaden Anderson still strong, very fast car, and I imagine he's going to give Ace Blake a little bit of trouble here now that Blake has caught him. I don't think this is going to be some easy pass that Blake can make, and if Blake's not careful, could start losing his lead gap over second place. Getting side by side with Anderson, going through turns 1 and 2 now. With only 49 laps to go. I think Wyatt Wilkinson makes up another spot here as he gets by Casey Klein. And now sets his target on the 21 of Ralph Oberstadt. This truly is the best kind of challenge. Wilkinson needs to prove that he's capable of getting back up to the front and winning. You know, facing a little bit of adversity in the race is one thing. It's a whole nother thing to rise above that adversity when it's presented. And he's doing one hell of a job here tonight. That 19 car, even if it doesn't get the win tonight, led a lot of laps, put on a great show. I think it's really just going to come down to that, you know, pit call. Your crew chief, your team, you know, pit stop, all of that. It kind of plays into it, and that's usually how the races go sometimes. You either win it or lose it on pit road. Ace Blake has grown his lead to nearly 3 seconds over second and the rest of the field here. 3 seconds over Ralph Oberstadt. And the rest from second back to fifth, they're all within a second of each other. So your top 5 very much still up for grabs, or at least the sorting of who finishes in what position in the top 5. Just like that, Kovacic making a pass here on Wilkinson to get third back. That puts Wilkinson up high. Wilkinson's going to have to settle down here and fall back into line for fourth. Kind of makes you wonder if Kovacic maybe laid back for a moment to save his tires and give it one last valiant push at the end here. You can see the comparable lines that these guys are running when they slide around the track. One guy's sliding down, one guy's sliding up. Whoops, Ace Blake getting stuck up high here. That's going to hurt him a little bit. Yeah, not as bad as I thought. He's going to get around Skylar Taylor and close the window on her. She's running in 24th, multiple laps down, as Jaden Anderson runs in 20th, only 1 lap down. Ace Blake gets by and continues to stretch out his lead here a little bit. Casey Klein going around Wyatt Wilkinson. Man, this is going to be a shame for Wyatt Wilkinson, who looked to be within reach of victory here tonight. That's why you run every lap here, folks. You don't just call a winner at halfway, or, you know, that's why we run these longer races, because a lot of this stuff just doesn't play out in a quick race. You got to have some laps on it to actually get a little bit of stories and drama to unfold. It's impressive here. Hank Scorpio 1 lap down and 21st, that they're having a hard time getting around him. 21 of Oberstadt seems almost just happy to run here in second, staying behind the 69. I mean, even a second place is a great day for someone that doesn't often finish up in the top spots like this. There we go. Kovacic gets by Oberstadt. And the laps starting to tick away here, as he's got about a 4-second deficit to make up to catch to the leader. Very impressive how many times we've seen these guys move throughout the top 5 positions back and forth here. Kovacic actually starting to shrink that gap. It's down to a 3.66 second gap now. He really needs to get by the 69 as soon as possible to maximize on available time here to catch up to the lead. Looks like he might be able to get the job done here going into turn 1 this time. Still fighting tooth and nail. Scorpio not giving it any inch. 3.6 seconds. Now with clean track, we'll see what Kovacic's got. Problem now, Ace Blake, his tires starting to give way on him now. And with all these, slow traffic cars in front of him, that's going to help very much the likes of Chase Kovacic to catch back up. Now down to 3.5 and even 3.49 that lap. Safe to say that Kovacic's going to keep it interesting here. Skylar Taylor getting by Ace Blake. That's going to help Kovacic a little bit more, as now there's only one car separating our top 2 drivers. Well, and multiple car lengths. $18 laps to go now. All these guys finally get by Hank Scorpio, which has been a long time coming. Kovacic not really closing the gap now. It seems like he's starting to hit the tire skid here, as those tires have gone away on him. Ace Blake working on Skylar Taylor again for another spot on track with the lap traffic. Ace Blake really is running some fast laps even with slower guys in front of him. Slower guys and gals, I guess. Man, the gap not fluctuating much at all, as it still sits at about 3.5 seconds. Going to go ahead and do a little bit of a skim through the field here. Looks like James Gunner running 19th. Jonah Burridge running 18th, helping out his teammate here wherever he can. Donovan Heist, Mark Shelton. Wow, Chris Kagreen 23rd, multiple laps down. Craig Popgris in 15th. Alan Chavot in 14th. Jamison Thole running 13th. Was one of your surprise winners this year at Talladega. So Jamison Thole trying to just run as he does and get some good finishes in. 13th, not too bad, mid-pack. Eli the Wolf, Craig Bush, Finley Herwig, B. Roy in 9th, Hamburgerson in 8th. Man, Trevor Vaden has worked his way up to 7th. This could be huge in keeping that points lead away from his teammate as he continues to move throughout the field here. Very much has 6th within sight with Matthew Hubert. But the top 5 really in a class of their own right now is you've got Casey Klein, Wyatt Wilkinson, Ralph Oberstadt, and Chase Kovacic. Kovacic still hasn't closed that gap as it's 3.56 seconds to Ace Blake. Now Ace Blake gets by his teammate Jonah Burridge here. And you got to imagine Jonah Burridge is not going to... Yeah, I think Team Tactics kind of kicking into gear here again as Jonah Burridge actually drops back here to defend the 77, giving him any form of help that he can provide. Doesn't do him any good to sit in front of the 77, so he's sitting behind the 77. Even forfeited 18th place to fall back into 19th here. 5 laps remaining. This will definitely be a joyous party in Virginia tonight if Commonwealth Ventures Racing gets the job done. Three laps remaining now, and the lead just stretching out more and more. It's been green for all 199 laps here tonight. Ace Blake with just a couple laps to go here. That 77 is putting on a very good showing in his early career here. White flag waving. One more lap to go here at Langley Speedway. Furniture Road, Denver Mattress, number 77. Took the lead in the second half of the race and has not looked back. He's coming around turn 4 for the final time tonight as that checkered flag waves in the air. Ace Blake, now an ARCA winner here in Sigma. Number 77 comes home first. Second place, Chase Kovacic. That's impressive. Ralph Oberstadt, Wyatt Wilkinson, and Casey Klein, your top 5. We're going to try to speed this up tonight because the game crashed last night when I was trying to do this. Hopefully we don't have any more frickin' crashes. Save the replay. And the nice part is much smaller track, smaller field, a lot less cars to populate on track here. And just like that, it's a wrap, folks. Ace Blake gets his first career win in Sigma ARCA competition. Coming home second was Chase Kovacic, Ralph Oberstadt, Wyatt Wilkinson, Casey Klein. The number 6 comes home 6th with Matthew Hubert, Hamburgerson, Trevor Vaden, Craig Bush, and Eli the Wolf. And then 11th was B. Roy, then Finley Herwig, Jamison Thole, Alan Chavot with a top 15, Craig Popchris, Donovan Heist, Mark Shelton, James Gunner, Jonah Burridge, and Jaden Anderson. Hank Scorpio, Chris Mozzie, Chris K. Green, Skylar Taylor, and then Kaylee Sheets and Jakov Rosovich unfortunately did not finish the race here tonight. So Ace Blake, a winner in only his second career start, starting to put together a trend unlike any other with our ARCA Racing Series. And so that rounds out the action for tonight. Definitely was action-packed. We saw some great racing. The main event really did shuffle things up a little bit as it was won on pit road for Ace Blake, making a stellar pit stop and coming back out in front of everyone that he was competing against for the win. Tomorrow, we will be hitting Minnesota Motorsports Park yet again with the Bridge to Cup action. And no cup race this week because we do have an IROC race, which will be broadcast by Brian DeBlank over on his YouTube channel. And so overall, thank you everyone for tuning in. This was a great stream. It was very great racing. And I think just kind of an appetizer for what's to come when we do more of this short track racing with our ARCA series. So keep your eyes peeled for more ARCA action coming next month, especially. May is going to be jam-packed with ARCA, Bridge to Cup, trucks, and Cup action. Whole month of May, you won't want to miss out on all the racing action. So that's a wrap, everyone. Congrats again to Ace Blake for getting the job done in only his second career start. And for the rest of the field, having had a great race here tonight with very, very few wrecks and no cautions. This is Jakester signing out. Everyone have a great night. We'll see you in the next one.